Uncle stuff. Today's episode is about replacing a hard drive or a BIOS battery in a Dell Inspiron N7110, and it's right here. And I've had many different manufacturers' equipment over the years: HP, Gateway, Dell, uh, desktops, laptops. Had a variety of different manufacturers. This is the first time this Dell, and I have several Dell workstations, and I do have a Dell laptop of a different type. This is the first time that I've run into such a poorly designed for repair or access laptop in my life. This is horrible, this particular one. All I wanted to do was to get to the hard drive, take it out, muck with it. Normally, on every other laptop I've ever dealt with, there is on the bottom a small cover that you can remove with one screw that gives you access to the hard drive. There is also an access panel on the bottom that lets you get to the memory if you want to upgrade or change it. On this particular Dell, no access panel on the bottom for the hard drive. The molded bottom appears to look like it have an area where there would be, the drive would be setting, but it's not real. I don't know why they molded it to look like that, but it's not. The hard drive, you have to take, on this particular model, normally on a laptop, all you do is take the bottom off. There's nothing really attached to the bottom. And you take the bottom off, set of screws, you pry it up because it's been snapped down. And that gives you access to at least the hard drive, maybe the BIOS battery, maybe not. It could be pigtailed to the front of the board. But in this case, the motherboard is actually attached to the bottom of this laptop. So the only way to get to the components, to the BIOS battery, to the hard drive, is you have to take the top off. You have to take the panel completely off the top, which includes the keyboard. And I'll show that in later, but I can give you an idea of what all this has to come up and off to be able to get to. And there you see the blue is the hard drive. It's sitting on top. The BIOS battery is right over here, but you have to take this whole piece of metal here, which has a few components on it, but for some reason they have oriented the it's not even in its right location anymore. They have put everything, the motherboard, if you will, is mounted to the bottom. Entirely different. Perhaps this is one of the first laptops that I've ever been into where it's completely machine assembled. I don't know. Normally they're reversed, and all these components are available on the underside. That's not true in this case. This is a horrible way to it. This is the first one that kind of reminds me of an Apple device. It's not meant to be repaired. You have to take all this stuff off to be able to get into the BIOS battery, the hard drive. If you had to replace the fan, you'd have to do the same thing. It's not meant to be repaired. This is meant as a throwaway. When it doesn't work, or it you can't easily upgrade the hard drive, you can't easily replace the BIOS battery. So if either one of those things fail, this whole thing becomes trash. I have liked Dell equipment, but this is the first one that I don't know. I guess maybe it was a very low-end model, and basically designed as like a toaster or an appliance, and it doesn't work. You trash the whole thing. That is not my way of doing things. I repair if I possibly can. Now again, all I was attempting to do was I wanted to take the hard drive out and muck with it and maybe make it put a larger back in. I've had to do all this to get to that hard drive in there, the blue piece. It's a solid state drive. Okay, now that I've got that and I can do what I want, I got to put it back in, and then I have to do all this reassemble. And my biggest concern are there are these cables right here sticking up that have to be attached to the keyboard or something else. Oh, probably the touchpad. There are two cables here on the touchpad. I saw something interesting that the two buttons to basically the left click and the right click are part of this metal plate assembly right here. Those set here. I have to reattach this cable and this cable to this piece right here. And look underneath there, that's going to be quite a trick. They're very short cables. Hopefully I can get it. I don't know. I'm not sure that once I have done what I wanted to do with the hard drive, that I'll be able to correctly reassemble it so it ever works again. I wound up taking the bezel off of the screen here because I wasn't sure. I was having resistance getting down at the very bottom here, and so I may have taken it more apart than I needed to, but I'm sure that there's no other way to get in but what I did. There are a lot of screws here and there. This plastic is popped into settings in the edges all around. I was very careful using a blade to snap it open, but nonetheless, this is a very poor design for any kind of repair or upgrade. I don't know what they were thinking. Thinking a toaster. They were thinking you use it, you throw it away. The BIOS battery certainly should last 8 or 10 years. And I know that in general, that's what laptop manufacturers consider to be the life of any device, laptop device they make is 8 or 10 years. But nonetheless, and I am not going to go through every step that I had to do to remove and get down to that level, but you do see I had to take this piece completely off and had to pry the keyboard out of this top piece to get down even lower to do what I needed to do. I don't know if it'll work when I go back together or not, but I'm warning you that the N7110 Dell laptop is not an easy laptop to work on in any way, shape, or form. I'm really disappointed in the way it was designed because of inability for an average person to do any kind of repair. If you needed this repair, it would have to go to shop, and it's going to be expensive because they have to tear it completely apart to get to everything. That's enough on this. I am going to try to replace the hard drive. I'm going to try to reassemble it, and hopefully it might work. But this is a questionable one. I have probably repaired 100 PCs, laptops and desktops, and even a few Apple devices. They're similar in that they're not really meant to be repaired, other than maybe the battery swap and sometimes the screen swap. But even that is a little tricky on Apple devices. But anyway, the bottom line is, if you're thinking about buying a used laptop and you see one of these N7110 Dells, I suggest you don't do it. It's not repairable. It really isn't designed to be repaired, which is absolutely a crime. If a manufacturer makes something, he should make it so it can be repaired. I'm not saying necessarily by a home user, but it can be repaired by somebody. But you take this into a shop and have them take the hard drive out and do something. Just the labor involved in taking this apart is going to cost more than, it's just not going to be economically viable to do that. So Dell Inspiron, how you pronounce that word, N7110 is dud. Don't do it. This is Runkarana stuff. Today is I think the 20th of September, 2025. That's all I got for today. Bad news on this Dell. I hope if I look at some of the future products, they don't repeat this. This may, as I suggest, be the first fully automated assemble of a laptop, and that may be why they designed it this way, that total robotics assemble of this system. I don't know if I'll be able to reattach these properly, the touchpad, or get it back together in some kind of fashion that will work again. Uncle Ron and stuff, bad Dell, bad Dell.